Let's go.
Let's go. All right. So LP, we're sitting down again. This is, I don't know, like episode 6. I don't know. But at this point, you're just basically like furniture here on the Hard to Kill podcast. And I said that kind of French, like podcast. Anyways, and it's
La fourniture de podcast.
I've done 2 podcasts in French. We won't be doing this one in French though. To be honest, I don't think we've ever spoken French to each other. It would be weird.
No, I don't think so.
So the point of today is to recap the last 5 months, because folks, if you're just tuning into this one, if you go back 5 months, I decided to hop on what's called The Project, which is hosted by Bedros Keuilian in California. It's 3 days of military hazing, basically to help you for entrepreneurs to get yourself to the next level in fitness, in business, in mindset. And it's a bag drive. And I never got to do anything like that in the military, in terms of having Navy SEALs yell at me and tell me to get into the water and do all kinds of wild stuff. And I thought this would be a great way to put a cherry on top of my recovery, my fitness journey, my personal journey, my entrepreneurship journey, and enter into a new phase, let's put it. So I reached out to LP. I was like, dude, I did something. Can you help?
I heard that one before.
Yeah, you're getting used to the pattern. Hey,
exactly.
You know the plan we had already established? Yeah, we're not doing that anymore. We're doing this one now. It's like, all right, okay, sure, sounds good. So we really, it's always a collaborative effort. And LP, the point here is really to get into where I've improved and share some of the results. And you've got a cool dashboard that I wasn't, I was tracking, but I wasn't tracking the readiness score. So first of all, let's start with where I started, and then we can move into where I've ended up. So I guess I have some results that I'll share with you, and I'll share those first, and then you can share your insights based on what you saw. So when we started out October of last year, 2023, and I have my scores here. So just talking body weight, body fat. Now, originally we were supposed to do a DEXA scan. I couldn't get the company here. I don't know if they closed or whatever. So it didn't end up happening in a short enough window of time. So I just started doing body tape measurements and using the scale. So my original body tape measurement, I was 224 pounds and I'm 6'4". My neck was about 15 inches and my waist was 36 inches at the time. I then, and I can actually show this so that folks can actually have a visual here, because rather than staring at this here, perfect. Okay, whoops. Oh, I just gave away the, there we go. So this is the first one. So 224 pounds, it gave me a body fat percentage of around 19%. Okay, that's where I was starting from. And then 5 months later, with some intentional training, I'm down to 213 pounds. Obviously, I'm still the same height, and my waist went down to 34 inches, and that gives me a body fat of around 15%. So I'm actually really happy with that, because even during the Ironman, when I was getting ready for that, I was still hovering around 15%, but I was not nearly as strong. I didn't look as strong. I didn't have as much muscle mass. I was skinny, right? I was getting ready for the Ironman. So this I'm very happy with, man. So what were like some of your, I guess, the main focus when it came to training and, putting stuff in the training plan that would actually get me there? Because clearly it worked. It's like a 4% body fat drop, which I'm like super stoked about. And I still want to lose more, by the way. I want to look super shredded for the summer. So FYI,
that's the next mission.
Summer shred is coming up. But yeah. So what was your thought process for the program?
I think even before we start talking about training, the first big takeaway is what you were doing. If people may be surprised by the approach that you were taking, because we weren't necessarily eating in a way to allow you to cut, to use like the typical language for losing body fat. Like a lot of what we were doing was focused on improving performance and you were fueling according to that. And so the way you were eating was thinking about the performance that you needed to achieve in the gym. And even with that, you saw some, well, you just told us some drastic improvements in terms of your body composition. So I think that's a really important take home message here. And then in terms of training, we had two big phases of training, where the first one was really to build capacity, build volume tolerance. And so we had a lot of strength work. We had a lot of, initially, even before we started doing strength work, we did a lot of volume hypertrophy work. Remember, we talked on our last episode a lot about German body composition training. So you did a lot of compound exercise, higher repetition, supersets, small rest periods. So you were basically huffing and puffing. You're doing your cardio work while you were in the gym, essentially.
Brutal. Yeah.
And kind of that set the stage for the second phase of your training, which was a lot more oriented towards some of the performance metric that you had, which were improving on some running scores, the 302 test. We had a rep bench press test, a squat rep test. And so you had we could call that undulating periodization. So in parts of the week, you were focusing more on strength. So you could think of it as lower repetition count with higher intensity, so higher loads. And then other parts of the week, for the same similar movement patterns, you were doing more volume work. And so lighter weights with more repetition. And some of that work was the classical 8 to 12 reps for 3 to 4 sets. And some of it was a lot more dense, where you're almost kind of working for 10 to 15 minute nonstop, just kind of alternating upper body movements in your accessory work, essentially. Rounding. And around all of that, the closer we've been getting to this point here, which is almost go time, the more the conditioning, the cardio was increasing. You were running more, you were doing bigger grindy AMRAPs in your training, like 30 minutes of hard continuous work with assault bike, strongman type stuff, odd object stuff. I think that gives people a decent overview of the principles behind the program.
Yeah. Just to go back to the nutrition side of things, I was just staying super focused on how much protein I was getting during the day, and was I getting enough calories?
Yeah.
And I was able to judge that also just by how I felt. And I felt like a rock star for like the majority of this 5 months. There were some ups and downs. Like I got really sick at one point, but I bounced back relatively fast, even though it was probably one of the sickest I've ever been when I went to Las Vegas. Man, I've never been that sick. But I still managed to get a good workout when I was in there, even though I had to go to the hospital. And then progressively since then, it's been pretty good. This last week was a little rough too. The kids were up, and it was just like it ruined my sleep cycle, and just I felt like shit. But like if you look and you blow, I take a 5,000 foot or 50,000 foot perspective. Overall, I was crazy disciplined, which I would actually I've kind of never really done it that well before. And I think it's partly because it was compounding. As soon as I see the results, I go, oh, I keep on doing this. And it was the muscle mass, man. Honestly, I've never added that much muscle that quickly, which was really cool. So I was like, well, this is obviously working. Let's keep on going. So that German body comp stuff was freaking wild. So highly recommend, folks, if you want a really good body comp program, go check out LP's program. Okay, so now that we're like a few days away from go time, I'm feeling good. My body weight's pretty low. Now, performance 302 test. This is like the entry level selection test. So for folks that are just tuning in, it is a mile run, then it's 100 push-ups, 100 squat thrusts, 100 crawl outs, and then a mile run. It's got to be done in under 75 minutes. So when we started, I have the results here, and I'll share those as well.
When you started, we knew, to give people context, we knew that you had the capacity to do it under that recommended time cap of 75 minutes. We weren't sure exactly how fast you were going to do it.
That's important to know. I don't know the guys that are showing up, but it's set up so that it's not impossible, obviously, and they're not expecting you to be an athlete to show up, but they are expecting you to have a a basic level of fitness before showing up.
Right.
Now, yeah, you're right. I do have, I have done the Ironman, which gives me a certain level higher than most guys if they're just starting out of the gate. But even so, I had just a barely sub 50-minute 302 test when I started, but I was able to shave off 10 minutes. I did it this week. And I'll be honest, it sucked, but I had way more gas than I thought I was. And I was getting close to that 40-minute mark. I'm like, oh shit, I'm going to be able to do this in under 40 minutes. So then I started picking up the pace, but it's such a long test. I had to really kind of judge a little bit earlier how fast I'd have to go. So, like what magic was it in the program, man? I'll be honest. I was like, oh, okay, I'm doing the program, and the runs, I wasn't running my guts out, but I was running. I felt good. The program I was doing a lot of gym work. I didn't feel like I was really hammering, like, quote unquote, the cardio that much, but this was a very cardio based activity. So what is it that really allowed me to have a dramatic improvement in this test?
Yeah, we could do an entire podcast episode on that one
specifically. That was my point. You got it. We are going to do a podcast just on this test alone.
We're so for the sake of this conversation right now, I'll try to keep it somewhat brief. Do cut me off if we're going along here a little bit.
Yeah,
but
no worries.
I think one of the things that people need to realize is that like the adaptation that you're going to benefit the most from is likely the one that you're not getting currently in your program. And if we look at what you were doing before you started this project, you were doing a lot of strength training. You weren't doing a lot of volume-based work. You had some, but not anywhere close to what we're doing in this program. And you weren't doing a huge amount of aerobic training. And so I was anticipating that you'd respond fairly quickly to that stuff, irrespective of what we were doing, because you weren't doing it. And so your system is sensitive to these new kind of stimuluses. And then, so my first ideas was, okay, we need to build a better aerobic base. And to build a better aerobic base, what you need is volume, and you don't necessarily need a lot of intensity. You just need to accumulate. If we're talking about running, we need to accumulate mileage. And we keep it at a low intensity.
That's like zone 2 stuff, right?
That's the magic of zone 2 training, exactly. And let's be honest here, Dave did not just do zone 2 training to increase his performance. So don't anticipate that if you do zone 2, you're suddenly going to become a machine. But it's really good support work for all of the training that you do. And it's the base of your pyramid. So you have to build that base to eventually have a higher peak.
Right.
And so that's what a lot of what we did, which at the same time allows you to recover so that you can do all the other training that we were doing in the gym. And so that's the first thing. We built initially your aerobic capacity through a lot of volume of zone 2 stuff. And then we started layering the intensity. And if you want to, to explain to you how we did this would take, like I said, a full podcast episode. But if you want a simple framework that you could maybe apply to your own training at home, it's like if you look at the duration of the test and you break it down into chunks of 25%, you can do intervals of work at around 25% of the actual workout time at a similar intensity. And that's going to help you significantly improve your capacity for that test specifically. Okay. Also, like if you're doing like 8 to 10 minutes of work with some rest and then repeat, that would be a good example of that. But that's the first thing, because for that test, you need a good capacity from an endurance perspective, but there's also the flip side, which is arguably even more important, in my opinion, for a test like this, which is upper body muscle endurance. Like you need to be able to do a lot of reps of that test specifically is pushing. Right. And so you have to do a lot of that in training and build volume of that so that you have incredibly enduring shoulders when you come to your retest, which clearly was the case for you.
Dude, my shoulders are popping. They're popping. Like 42 years old and my shoulders are popping. Sick.
I mean, if we keep going this way at 45, it's going to be even more obvious.
Yeah, I'm going to put 25. I'm going to put 25-year-old dudes to shame, man. I think that's my new
That should
standard.
Be the mission.
Just going to shame 25-year-old dudes. To add to what you're saying here, to put another metric in, I was tracking my VO2 max. The VO2 max when we started was at 45. It's now at 47. So to improve VO2 max takes quite a bit of effort. And VO2 max is a function of how much oxygen we can take in and efficiently utilize it, and blood volume, etc. So it's a pretty complicated calculation, but requires quite a bit of effort to move it just 1 point. And what I'm pleased about is a VO2 max of around 47 puts me in like the 90th percentile for men in your 40s.
Oh, does it, huh?
I think so. I hope I'm not talking out my ass here. Hold on a sec. Okay. Men 40 to 40. I hope that's men. Hold on a sec here. VO2 max. No, it's women. Oh, crap. VO2. All right. I'm getting all kinds of different figures here. The one I originally had was a woman's chart. So I was like, sweet, I'm crushing it. But okay, I'll have to post one that's more relevant. But from what I can see here from the generalized one, yeah, 44 to 48, 47 to 51 is very good in 40 to 44-year-old range. So if I can get above 51, that would be excellent. So way above average. So way above the top 5 percentile. So yeah, that I feel if that makes sense. In terms of when I'm doing those grindy type workouts, it's like I just have a bigger gas tank. And yeah, I got a little bit stronger, but it's, my heart rate isn't jacked up to, threshold necessarily. It's not like 180 something when I'm doing these type of workouts under load. That's been the biggest change. And let's not forget, dude, my leg strength, I've noticed a massive difference. Well, also because my pants don't really fit. Like my can, like I got so much junk in my trunk. That's
unfortunate.
Right now. Like, it's just like, so what happened was I bought pants when I was a fatty. So before we started all this, around the summertime, I really packed on a lot of weight. And so I bought jeans because I needed new jeans at like 36, 37. Now they're all floppy. So my belts are like, I don't have any more space left on the belt. And the jeans fit tight in the legs, but they're super loose in the waist. So these are all objective measures of success, but my single leg strength has gone up. Like, do you have like quantifiable evidence that that's the case, or just my leg strength has gone up quite a bit?
I don't remember off the top of my head for your single leg strength specifically, even though we did a lot of single leg training in your your workouts. That being said, your back squat numbers shot up significantly, and those I have some more clear insight on if we want to talk about that.
Okay, yeah, sure, absolutely. Let's do it.
I mean, so your target was an AMRAP with the 90 kilo bar. As I'm pulling up, I'm going off the top of my head right now. So got it. So I mean, we were essentially you wanted to rep out 90 kilos for the squat, and the target was to get at least 11 reps from the basic army metrics that you had spoken to me about. And so, I mean, we started with issues with your back that we had to deal with. And then you were running at somewhere around 5 reps of this 90 kilo or somewhere around there at the beginning. And you ramped up all the way to 11 reps at an 8 RPE because you didn't want to push it so far because back was still a little bit iffy. You had a little bit of a flare up. So with a flared up back, you're essentially doubling the reps you're able to do with 90 kilos. And we had a similar improvement on the bench press as well.
Sweet. Yeah. Those two, like the single leg, I feel insanely strong. My knees feel amazing. Was that workout where we did an EMOM where we were doing back squats and then pull-ups. You're like, yeah, start at like 175, 5 reps and, do 8 sets of that. I was like, dude, I can't do that. I did 1 set and I was like, I can't do 4 more. I can't do 4 more. These are 5 more or 6 more of these. There's no way I'm going to be able to. So I had to really bump the weight down. I think it was at 130 shoes, which I think is pretty cool. And it gives me a lot more confidence, a lot more capacity to do what I have to do. Because I know there's going to be a lot of lunging and a lot of just payment on this type of training, on this type of project for sure. So let's chat briefly now about this performance dashboard. I want to know a little bit more like my readiness dashboard, if I think is what you called it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, so the biofeedback dashboard is essentially our way of keeping track of metrics that are both inside and outside of the gym. So how do you rate your performance in the gym, as well as how do you rate your biofeedback, which is essentially looking at how your body is feeling on a day-to-day basis. And so we'll keep track of stuff like sleep quality, motivation, soreness level, mood, which are all either leading or lagging indicators of what's going on in and outside the gym. And so if you're looking at these metrics, you can either get a sense of, okay, your lifestyle shit right now, and this is currently affecting your recovery, or everything we've been doing from a training and lifestyle perspective is slowly pushing you in the right direction. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we started implementing this kind of strategy last year within the program, or I started doing that with all of my people. And so I have data from 2023 for you. And I have the rolling average now since 2024. And that's, I think, one of the biggest wins for you in terms of improving like overall health and fitness is that all of your scores on the biofeedback are significantly increased. Like if you want, I could give you a couple of examples here. I have it pulled up. So where are you at here, Dave? So I mean, if we're looking at your sleep quality, the average nice even number for 2023 was 6 on 10, whereas now you're at an 8 on 10.
Nice.
All right. And then your stress and anxiety was at a 5. There's a lot going on for you. And it's been a struggle recently, but you're still up by 1.3 points. So at 6.3, which is really good. Motivation to train has gone from 6.5 to 9, mood from 5.8 to 8.3. And to kind of give you guys a summary here, all of these factors combined together, we're putting Dave's readiness score at a 50%. So I kind of calculate an average of some of these metrics. And currently for 2024 so far, he's sitting at a 78.33%. And so all of the things inside the gym and outside have been going in the right direction. And that's a combination of everything that you've done, from your training improving to your nutrition to just kind of taking care of business from a lifestyle perspective.
Nice. Dude, this has been such I realize I need big challenges in order to really focus myself and do something. So this has been probably one of the best things that I've undertaken in terms of not only like physical development, but personal development too. I haven't even gone yet, and I've already leveled up, which is really cool. So I feel ready. I did some rope climbs today. I don't know if you saw the post
I saw the post
on Instagram. Fuck, I suck at those. But you know what? I'm able to get up the rope, but just really shittily. So aside from rope climbs, I feel super confident. Now it's just a matter of having the right mindset and being able to endure. I've done it in the past in the military. This is really going to test to see whether or not I still got it, which is kind of the point. So I feel good, Ben, and I thank you so much for, sticking by me and making sure that I had the right programming and making sure that when things were really shitty, like you were just, you held me down, man. So I really appreciate that.
Gotcha, bro. I mean, I always say the same thing, like writing the program on paper is easy. It's doing the work. That's the hard part. So you got to thank yourself, bro.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But without it, cause and without the constant, check-ins and being able to chat with you about things. And, I definitely wouldn't have had the same results. I can guarantee that. So, so the next challenge is going to be the tactical games coming up in June 1st after this one. So I'm hoping that there's going to be a favorable result, and I'll be able to get through the project next week, which I'll be blacked out, like comms blackout from Tuesday to Friday. So, folks, if you're listening to this now, and if you see me on Instagram and they're humiliating me, it's because I failed. So that's public humiliation if you fail. But if not, then it's a positive sign. It means I got through, and then I'll be posting when I get back home too. And then I'll be off to the tactical games and figuring that training plan out, and we can have another chat about that. And then we definitely need to chat about that big VO2 max and performance upgrade when it comes to zone 2 training and adaptations. I think that's going to be a really good episode, LP. So we'll get that on the books too when I get back. So
I'm in.
That's awesome.
In the
That's awesome.
meantime, good luck. We're going to be
Thank you.
keeping track of the process as much as we can on social media. Is that right?
That's right. That's right. And yeah, then when it's Shred City in the summer, we'll do some more reveal posts, and be the Bodies by LP, right?
Let's go.
It. All right, buddy. Well,
all right,
it's
man.
always a hoot.
Yes, sir.
Thanks again. We'll check in when I get back. And folks, if you're curious and want to know more about LP, I'm going to drop his links in the description here. And if you want a coach that's going to get you to the next level, LP's your man. So that's it for me. Have a good one, buddy.
Good luck, man. We'll talk to you soon.
See you, folks.
Ciao.
Peace.
I hate t-shirts that get floppy in the arms after 10 washes. So that's why I created a bunch of t-shirts with high quality cotton just for you so that you can go to the gym and look fresh, sport some philosophy, and smash those PRs looking good. So you need to head to davemorrow.net/merch, grab yourself a hat, grab yourself a t-shirt, grab yourself a sweater, and support the cause today.